Dr. Toyland.
All right, so let's check out the Star Dusk Commander Alder figure from Fox Forge Toys. Now, I was pretty excited about these guys. I'd seen all their advertisements, all their posts, and I was following them, and I didn't even realize they were out until I did see them at a convention, and I picked this one up. And it's it's cool. It's a 1/12 scale figure, so it should scale well with everything else. A few things about it specifically I didn't love. And while it does have its place in some circles, I don't think it has its place on everyone's shelf, and we'll go into that right now, right? So first you see him right here. Now from the outside, he looks like his paint apps look pretty good. Some of the shiny stuff, that's just like the plastic they're using, so it looks like some kind of gray plastic with maybe some kind of shiny wash over it, maybe. It's hard to say. It doesn't come with a ton of accessories. It comes with whatever this thing is and his rifle. I will say, which is pretty cool, all the accessories have little pegs, and they do fit into random spots along the figure, which is pretty cool. Figure himself, let's see him right here. A few areas look a little off, right? It's like a weird little shoulder right up there. Looks like a puny little upper arm like that. His arms themselves look a little too long. Like if you were to stand up straight, see where your hands kind of go down to. This guy's hands almost go down to really almost his knees. So just proportion wise, it's a little off. I'm not totally against it because it could be from, maybe he's supposed to look like that. I'm not really sure of the backstory of the origin of the figures, things like that, if they're supposed to be some kind of humans or humanoids or whatever, right? Articulation wise, he's got the upper shoulder. It doesn't really go any higher than this. I guess it's because of the shoulder pads really blocking it, but you can kind of go like that. He's got double jointed elbows, wrist movement, kind of like that. Okay, neck. We'll take the helmet off in a second. So he does a pretty good range of motion with the head for the most part. It does have the upper torso, no waist, so you're not gonna be able to do anything like that, but it does move enough just with that, I would think. Legs have the upper thigh. It's also going around like that. Looks like a ball joint right in there. We have double jointed knees. Don't want to break them. Let's try this one. There we go. Double jointed knees. So, I mean, the knees actually bend really well. He could almost kick himself in the butt. Well, he can. Psh, psh. Very cool. So, articulation-wise, pretty good. You can get him to a lot of crazy poses. You want to do some hacky sack stuff. Go nuts. Ooh, here we go. Make him do some moonwalking. Just like that. Perfect. So, again, weapons, a little bit of color, not crazy detailed, and that's kind of where I'm at with this line. It's just everything looks cool, except it just looks like it could be a little better, like maybe a little better paint apps this way or the other. But I feel like they decided to go down more toward a line for, I guess, kids, which is nothing wrong with that because they are toys, and toys are initially meant for children, and that's okay. And this figure feels like it would go well with like a, what is that? Something like more of like a kid would play with, like those wacky ones from Hasbro. Fortnite, like the Fortnite figures. That's what it looks like. It would belong well with those kind of figures. So we take off his helmet. And this is kind of what did it in for me specifically, is let's see if we can get it really nice and close up on that. The faces, I mean, maybe it's the lack of paint apps, or maybe it's just like the very basic looking paint. It reminds me of a figure I would have played with as a kid, which is cool, except the fact that next to all the other figures that are currently out, he just doesn't really hold up next to everything else. And I'll show you. So put him up. Put him up. Right there's good. So let's put him next to a G.I. Joe, classified. Now I know sometimes you can't, compare the two. Hasbro, independent toy line, but at the same time, there are independent toy lines that do put out these figures that look great. So you can see same scale, just paint apps, man, just paint apps. You can see the arm length, right? Why his arms look a little funny. That's because they're almost like a full hand length longer than they probably should be. All right. Now, if you want to put these guys with the Star Wars figures from the Black Series, you're going to run into some trouble here too, because, like I said, the Black Series, and I'm sure you know, they're a lot shorter than a lot of other figures. So it just looks a little off. Maybe if you had some Stormtroopers, you could probably fit him in there without any issues. If you want to put him next to a Mythic Legions, and maybe you're excited for the Cosmic Legions coming out. So he does kind of scale well enough, I guess, to these. If you have some kind of alien races, things like that. So maybe you want him as one of your human characters. You could, you could definitely go that direction. I would probably, if you're going to mix him in with some of these other figure lines, I might even consider going in there and just, repainting his face. There's not really much to it anyway. You can easily, just go in there and touch that bad boy up, because, man, that face, again, not the sculpt. The sculpt's okay. It's just it's the lack of everything. It's the blank dead eyes and the chunky brown, that just the hair. Just that could be very, very easy to fix if you're relatively handy with a brush. But I mean, all in all, it's cool. Do I regret buying it? Maybe, because I'm never going to put it up anywhere. I'm not in love with it. I like it, not in love with it. That's kind of where I'm at with it. Although, that being said, they did have some other of the newer figures on display that are coming out soon, and all these aliens, things like that. I'm much more into their alien-looking figures, not so much the humans. I think I'd probably stray away from buying any more of these, but I would definitely be interested in seeing more of what they put out in terms of their aliens and creatures and things like that. I just feel like that's maybe where their focus should be headed, rather than things like this, right? Anyway, it's Star Dusk, that's the name of the line. Fox Forge Toys. This is Commander Alder. So, boom.
It belongs in a museum.